I just finished a workout. Lior and I went to Bunda together, which was really, really fun. And then we went for like a 2.5 hour walk. We got moon juice coffee and just chatted. And so the day's like flying by. It's about 3 o'clock now and I feel really recharged. I had a coffee early this morning when I went on my morning walk with Mia, and now I had another coffee, so I feel very recharged and very sweaty. I can't wait to take a shower. I feel so gross. I've kind of been obviously in sweat for a little bit, so I want to head home. But I wanted to kick off this vlog. Also, Clyde launched new pieces, which is so exciting. These are the love earrings. They're really cool because from the front they look like this kind of design, and then on the sides it goes all the way around. We also launched the love magnet necklace, which a lot of people were waiting for. It's basically this really beautiful heart on a 14 karat plated gold chain, as well as our Say My Name pendant, which is 18 karat gold, and it has your initial custom engraved on both sides. So the one side is a font like this, and the other side is more of like a kind of cursive font. So we basically engrave your custom initial on both sides. So even if the necklace flips, it's not just like a random key, so your initials on both sides. And this is like, it's like a 16.5 inch chain with a 2-inch adjuster, so you can adjust it. And yeah, that's pretty much the new stuff I wanted to say. Let's get going, let's get home, and let's get ready. We're back in the car, but I showered and put on a little bit of makeup. I'm here with Mia. A lot of you guys asked me where her car seat's from, so I'll link it. But look at this happy girl. You're so excited to go out. Gonna go for a little walk outside in the sunshine. I really quickly just had this like really big inspiration to talk about this topic, and I might even have this posted on my Plain Virgo channel or my main channel, so just my daily vlogging channel, because I feel like it's just a topic that is so important to discuss, and that's the topic of narrative. So like, if you know, this is more of it, yeah, it's definitely gonna have to go on the Plain Virgo channels because I feel like the topic, but basically, like, you know, it could go so deep, but I'm just gonna give like a surface level kind of explanation. Hopefully take with it what you will and take the nuggets that really resonate with you, you know, based on our level of consciousness or level of self-awareness, truly, because really consciousness happens when we develop a deep sense of awareness of self. And you know, like, as within so without, as above so below. So many people say, you know, the universe lies within you and things of that nature. And the reason for that, we're gonna put those lights back. I know people, you know, people's parents used to say like, these lights, like, you're gonna get pulled over if you have these lights on. But the reason that people say those phrases have become commonplace is because really when we discover ourselves and the intricacies of ourselves within us, we have a consciousness. You know, we're all interconnected through this consciousness. So as we discover ourselves, we kind of discover consciousness as a whole and kind of see how it operates and flows. And you know, that's how, when people have spiritual awakenings, people discover various nuances and things and the ways in which things are interconnected in the world, and through synchronicities and in general, really in the quantum field. And so to bring that back down into kind of more applicable terms, you know, whatever beliefs become instilled into you, you know, through, people say this often, but through childhood or through trauma, or just beliefs that you maybe have just literally picked up, I don't know, from friends or people around you, and you begin to truly believe those, then that begins to manifest in your world. So if you you know, believe, like, just a random example, for example, like, coffee shops are hard to come by, and your friend tells you that, and then you start thinking about that. Maybe your parents tell you that when you're younger. This is a really vague random example just to illustrate my points, and you believe that. So naturally, when you're driving places, you take the route where there's less of them, and you create experiences where there's less of them, and you basically show yourself in the reflection of the world that that belief is true. And on the flip side, if you grew up with the belief that, like, for example, the parking is the best example, like, oh, I always find a parking space, I always manifest a parking space, and you genuinely have that belief, then that will occur more likely than not. And that's a really good example, because for me, like, I've always said, like, oh, I always manifest a parking spot, always. Like, even if I come to the busiest place ever where, like, there's no way you'll find one, someone will pull out right away, and I've just affirmed that for so long now that it's genuinely become my reality. And when I first began affirming it, maybe it wasn't, right? Like, we genuinely do have the ability to choose our beliefs, and I know it's harder to reprogram beliefs that are more instilled in us. The more instilled in us, the more difficult to reprogram it, right? Like, if something we heard as a child, and now we're 20, 25, 30 plus, you know, that's gonna be a little bit more difficult, right? There's gonna be a bit of resistance. resistance to that. So like in the beginning, maybe you have to start small. So maybe you're reprogramming thought of you're attracting love, for example, you're attracting abundance. So maybe just affirming that you have love or you have abundance is difficult for you, right? And you feel resistance when you say that. And so starting off with phrases like I deserve this, or I deserve love, or I deserve abundance, I deserve freedom, those things will start to feel better, and then you can ease your way back up into this. But really what I wanted to that's kind of a stepping stone to the topic, which is people are going to always share their narrative on they're not going to say push, but people are always going to share their narrative, and the more unfulfilled they are with the narrative, oftentimes the more they'll push it onto you. So for example, this can be applied literally to anything. Look, we could start with relationships. Maybe one of your friends or someone you know has had difficulty in attracting successful relationships, maintaining successful relationships, whatever it may be. And so when they speak to you, they maybe say, they discuss how for them maybe dating is hard, or maybe for them they're attracting the wrong kinds of people, or X, Y, and Z. And and then so you begin to think, the more it also hits, either the more it's at a fear frequency, their belief, so like something that's like out of scarcity or fear, the easier it is for it to kind of hook you in. Because if fear is one, like there's people say a spectrum of fear and love. Fear is a really easy emotion to hook someone in. That's why now, with a lot of things going on, fear is often a really major tactic that is used. And actually, furthermore, right now they're using a tactic more of like helplessness is a really big propaganda. But that's a whole other video for a whole different day. But the more the topic impacts them, or the more the topic is impactful, like the more upset they're, the more emotion in it, the more they're going to push it onto you. So your friend tells you like, hey, this is so, they discuss how difficult certain things are for them, X, Y, Z. You begin thinking, you begin believing them, and you're like, wow, like it must be difficult to find a partner, it must be difficult, or the people must not be like as respectful or kind, or maybe it's hard to find it's hard to find, like, I don't know, this type of man in this society, or whatever it is. And in turn, you begin to think about that, you begin to attract that, and then it becomes even more solidified. Look at me, his face. Because now, not only did your friend tell you and you believe, but now you've attracted into your world. So what a strong belief that is. On the flip side, you have a friend who tells you, this is, of course, like the more aware you become, the more you can make choices if you want to take that reality in or not. And that's kind of the purpose of this video. I really want you guys to basically have discernment when observing other people's reality discussions, to really take what you want to be reality and leave the rest, and understand that although we all live on this planet at once, we are all really indifferent. We are experiencing reality. There's no one reality. Sure, there are things we can all maybe visibly see in the world, and maybe perhaps some core things we can believe on, but when you extend that out, we are all really experiencing the world in different ways. We're experiencing the world through the lens that we've experienced ourselves through, and for some, and that's very, very vastly different. And so Mia's like, when are we gonna hit the road? She's like, I am sitting in this chair and I'm annoyed. And so like, basically in that same example, on the flip side, you have a friend who tells you everything's going great, she's found the love of her life, it was easy, da 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 da, and you have that belief of like, oh, it's easy to do this, it's easy to do this, people are friendly, people are great, and in turn, that's your experience. And again, this is assuming you have kind of a clean slate about a topic. Like, of course, through our experience, through trauma, through any intense emotional experiences, we form beliefs. So reprogramming them is an effort. For example, there's so many things you can do, like sleep hypnosis, writing them out, burning subconscious beliefs. I mean, there's the first step is awareness. Second you have awareness that like, wow, I believe this thing and it doesn't serve me, you're like 1,000 steps ahead. Because most people, or oftentimes, I don't want to use the word most because I want that to be a shift. Hi Bubby, she's smiling at me. Oftentimes people don't even know that's their limiting belief. It's just their belief. If they knew it was a limiting belief, then they already would be out of that boat. Because the second you can recognize that this is like a belief that I hold and I can change it, they're changed. And the same example that I use with the relationships can be applied to finances, can be applied to freedom, can be really applied to like life at large. Like, it's difficult. People say like, oh, it's, for example, even with like me, people always tell me, oh, it's so hard to find a Pomeranian, it's gonna be so difficult, da 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 da, this process is just so intense. For me, I went to a restaurant, this was when I first got her a long time ago. I like was sitting next to this couple who had a Pomeranian, and I was like, that's such a beautiful dog, oh, that's so sweet. They ended up telling me, like, oh, actually, like, we can give you the information of the breeder of where we got the dog, and I don't want to start a discussion about breeding and adoption. Of course, I'm for adoption. I adopted Coco, but Poms are very hard to find a shelter, and maybe that's my limiting belief, but just in general, statistically, and like, you know, every dog needs a home, so I'm so happy to give her one. That's even beside the point. So I don't like giving personal examples because people will click onto your personal example instead of taking the point at large. They gave me the contact, and he had her available, but the day he had her available was like I was worried that I was actually going on a trip, and so I was like, okay, well, by the time I'm back from this trip, like, that he's not gonna have her, because I was going for like I believe a week or so, or 5 days, but they go very quickly, right? And then he basically was like, actually the only day she'll be available was this day, and the day that it was the day I got back after the day after I got back from my trip. So it worked out perfectly. Just an example of just like beliefs you hold. And I know in the beginning it's really hard to reprogram belief. I really understand, because you're like, I have evidence, I have proof of this, and I don't have proof of that. It's like, I have proof of this belief being true, but I don't have proof of this new belief. But you have to create the proof, and you have to, in that bridge, in the bridging that gap, have that faith. That's what people say, faith, or take the leap of faith. It's like, you're literally here, and through your faith you create a bridge. And you really have, people say build a bridge and get over, but you need to build that bridge for yourself. And so as we navigate the world, especially in these times where, you know, there's such a vast amount of different frequencies on the planet, you know, some people are thriving and some people, you know, maybe are going through spiritual awakening, some people are going through chaos, some people are going through shifts, you know, whatever it is, to realize what's your story, like what feels true for you, and that only you can decide. And that's why I always suggest things like meditation and, you know, things like breath work and yoga, practices that get you back into your body, back and connected to yourself, clearing your energetic field using sage, doing cord cutting, which you can just use sage and say you set the intention to cut any energetic cords or attachments to anyone that doesn't serve you or your highest good in the highest vibration of light, 100% pure love and light. And things of that nature, so that you can really feel what your core energy and what feels good to you. So if you hear your friend telling you this story and you're like, I don't want that to be my reality, of course hold space for them, be compassionate. You can affirm their truth, but know that that's their truth, and my truth isn't your truth, and your truth may not be my truth. Or maybe we do have some similar truths, but just because someone's telling you their experience, it does not need to be your experience, okay? Like, I just think that's so important to remember, and to take and I know sometimes what's in your face, it's hard when it's with family members, when it's with close friends, and they're telling you these stories that are so vivid and they're so real, but what's, like, again, like, if something can be real for someone else and can be not real for the other person. In fact, something can be a truth for one person and the polar opposite can be a genuine truth for someone else. Just think about that for a second as an example. And so in these times where people do project their reality or their experiences onto you, you know, just keep in mind, like, if it's something that you desire, something that you like love, and the experience that they're discussing is something that you love and you want to be a part of course put your energy into it, affirm it, be like blessed and honored that you're being able to co-create with someone on the same frequency and the same, you know, truths. And if there's times where you hear things that maybe that just doesn't resonate for you, maybe that's not your truth, that's not the reality you want to create, or that's not the belief that you hold, even if the belief you hold may seem, you know, I don't know, naive to some people, or may seem out there, or may seem, you know, too whimsical, just trusting that if it's something that really at your core it's the truth for you. And that's, you know, and don't take my word for it. Like, you need to discern what's true for you. I can't, you know, like, I can only know what's true for me. And so in your heart and in your body, you just start to like really discern, like, is this really true for me, or have I convinced myself this is true? Like, is this really, is this belief something that I genuinely believe or want, or is it something that I've taken on from someone? And to just be able to like be able to observe other people's realities as they express them to you, and hold space for that, while understanding that you ultimately have the power to create your own. Obviously, in terms of energy, if things are actually like toxic or very unhealthy, then of course I wouldn't engage with that energy. But I'm just saying, of course, as we, you know, have different experiences, especially for us or more people who are on some sort of spiritual journey, you know, you gain more and more awareness throughout it oftentimes, and you really tap into your own magic more, and you see, wow, like, things can manifest in really beautiful and powerful ways. And that pushing forward and this intense hustle mentality isn't always, you know, the way for certain things, truly, but there also is another approach, like, you know, the more divine feminine approach, which is a little bit of it's like so many other topics that I'm just tapping on here. But I just think in these times, really coming back to yourself, just because somebody explains something to you, or someone expresses something that's true for you, again, also the more that they're going to express it, it's oftentimes because they're emotionally impacted by it, which is completely normal. and people want you to affirm it for them. So when someone tells you, oh, this is so this, like for example, trauma bonding, or so many people bond over gossip or complaining, they want you to affirm it with them because it validates it. So if like someone's telling you about this experience that they're having and you tell them that you agree, I mean, this is like a little bit of a dramatic example, but like, for example, misery loves company, you know, and that's not no like shade or anything like that, but people want to affirm something. So if something's difficult and they tell you and you affirm it, it reaffirms the narrative. And in fact, if you reaffirm it and then attract the same experience and then come back to talk about it, it reaffirms it more. And you don't need to be like, no, stop, I don't want to listen to you, oh my god, I don't want this to be my reality. You don't have to be this aggressive, but you can still hold space, compassion, hear people out, you know, have communication skills, interpersonal skills to, you know, be kind and navigate it in like a respectful, compassionate way, and be like, sorry, I'm not gonna, you know, listen to this, or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't look like that. Just you listen, you hear, you validate, you understand someone else's experience. But at the end of the day, you don't even need to vocalize. You don't even need to verbalize this. You can just decide for yourself. Like, is this the reality, something that I want to hold in my heart, something that I want to be true for me? And if not, then learning how to hold that space. It's gonna be a really big an important thing in these times, as the divide between kind of those more on the kind of spiritual journey and those more on like, who was that? Those more on like and those maybe who are on a different part of the journey, you know, there's gonna be a bigger split. And in these times, it's so gonna be a really powerful tool to be able to hear someone's reality, see it, understand it, but not take it on as your own. To remember that you are the creator, and your feelings, you know, are in it. Your beliefs create those certain things. And so just because someone else has something and maybe wants you to reaffirm it or wants to prove it to themselves, that you can validate someone else's story, but also be sure to honor yours. And I've just seen this in a pattern with my coaching clients. I don't even promote it, literally. It's like only people kind of who know. It's like if people who I have a good group of people who are really consistent, so I kind of work with them, and I mention it here and there. I'll leave information if you want to work one-on-one with me. I literally don't even talk about it really, but that's a big theme I've seen is sometimes when something's in your face and someone's telling you about their experience, or they're projecting their fears and they're projecting their emotions and their worries and their stress and their struggles. It's really easy to think like, oh my gosh, should I be worried about this? Should I be stressed about this? Should I and it's really easy to take those beliefs on, those limiting beliefs on. It's really easy to take those fears on, those worries and those emotions, and that take on like that scarcity mentality from others, especially, you know, in these kind of more intense times when things that are more in that fear propaganda, I wish I'd say propaganda, fear agenda, and yeah, propaganda on screen. When we see that, it's really easy to tap into that. But in these times, it's really important to be an observer, to observe it. Okay, this is their reality. Okay, is that something that I want to affirm? And if yes, amazing, beautiful, affirm it and co-create together. It's so powerful. And if not, okay, observe, I validate their reality, I just don't take it on as my own. So that said, I just really felt compelled to get that out there, like, so strongly. Like, normally I would just like sit and film in the car for like this long, especially like a more a formal video, like in terms of topic like this, but I just felt really inspired and really compelled to say that to you guys. I just want you really to know the power that you have. And I know when people are telling you, and maybe people don't believe in certain things that you believe, or you're around people who are in a different world maybe than you, or it's hard for you to find like-minded friends who do have the same view of you, you know, just know, obviously I'm here for you. And like yesterday we had the new moon solar eclipse ceremony, which was really beautiful. Insert some screenshots of messages I got after. You guys really seemed to love it. If you missed that one, I really suggest you follow me on Instagram. I'm not going to be like those annoying people who push you to follow me on Instagram. I know it's so annoying people promote that, but genuinely I discuss my events mainly on there. Sometimes by the time I post a video, it's like a day or two before the event. So if you want to be sure to make sure you get your spot and, you know, have that, then I just suggest you follow me, because I'll post on stories, and hopefully usually like in a photo post, usually on stories about the ceremonies. But you know, I'm here for you in terms of energetic support in those spaces. And just remember that, like, you have in you lies that ability, like in you lies that power. And if you you literally can like you could be in the same spot right now in terms of timelines, and because you have a belief, and you could follow with the belief maybe other people have pushed onto you about certain things, and then create that. Or you can, and just as equally, because it takes the same amount of energy to focus it in either direction. You can focus in the place that you want and move forward in that direction. You're always moving in some direction, right? Even if you're not seeing results immediately. Although right now energy is very powerful and you see results a lot quicker. This is the time. If there's ever been a time to believe in yourself, this is the time, okay? And I believe in you. I believe because I believe in myself, and I know I just want you guys to just remember that. And right now, yeah, a lot of people, this is a theme I've been seeing as well, and also got really compelled to talk about this, that you are the creator of your story, and you can engage with other people, and they have their own story, and they have their own beliefs, and they have their own narratives. But at the end of the day, you have yours, and you have the free will and the sovereignty to create what you desire for yourself. And I just want to say a side note, the more that what you create, the more value it adds to others, the more it'll be supported. So of course, yeah, it's beautiful to do things for self-care and do things for self, but the more and treat yourself and love yourself, of course, but the more that you can do and create for others, to uplift others, uplift society, support society in this transition and beyond, the more you'll be supported. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you subscribe if you enjoy this content and want to see more of my videos. I do suggest putting post notifications on because YouTube's not showing videos right away in subscription boxes if you want to make sure not to miss them. Again, I do really suggest also following me on Instagram if you want to be more up to date with events like their online events via Zoom. They're really, really beautiful and powerful events, usually an hour and a half or so of your time. It's really transformational for a lot of people, and for me even, it's just such a powerful practice that I love doing. I love sharing that space with you guys, that energy with you guys, and everything like that. I will see you guys on my website for other resources, guys, and one-on-one coaching with me, as well as on Instagram. Mwah! I love you. And for daily vlogs, you can check out Daily Paulina. See, bye. Mia's like, can we please?